we are back at it again. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, welcome to the Cancel for Maintenance podcast. My name is Six.
I'm MVP.
And our co-host Shoreline, our third man, is currently on a work tour. We talk about the gritty, non-glamorous life of aircraft maintenance. Our goal in this is to provide you with that split seconds relief, be it comedic or wisdom gaining, to give you that split moments relief in your day that may just prevent a mishap. For today's topic, it's all about promotions, specifically why you didn't get a promotion and why you would want to turn down one. And I feel like this one really hits home for both of us because there were times where we felt we deserved a promotion and we feel like we've hit all the wickets, but we're just not there. We've always heard that kind of velvet knife talk where you were almost there or you're just missing that it or that thing. And
yeah, you're missing a crucial aspect of leadership. Well, what aspect am I missing? Well, you haven't led enough meetings. Well, to lead the meetings that we have, you have to be in leadership. So how do I gain experience for something I'm not allowed to attend?
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Right. So like that's this reminds me of the one video I think you sent me. It was about like two guys like argue with each other, and it goes like, this person is 7 years old and he has 10 years of work experience or some shit like that. Like,
yeah. Your cousin's 9 years old and has 19 years of work experience. How is that possible?
I
don't know. It doesn't make sense. Well, he works multiple jobs. That's how he gets the experience. Oh, okay. I know for me, I think a lot in my career, I haven't been considered for promotions, due to maybe immaturity. And I say this as I clown around too much, or I joke around too much. I like to have fun at work. I like a good joke. I like talking shit. But subsequently, I think that has also hindered me as I'm looked at as not professional enough, or I don't conduct myself in a strict 100% all the time professional manner. And I can't do that. That's not me. Eventually, maybe my knowledge base and skill set will be enough. But I have to clown around and work. If I have to show up and be serious all day long, I will walk into a spinning propeller. It's going to happen. You know what I mean? Like I just can't do it. It's not worth me showing up. We spend so much of our lives in a job that if you like, nobody likes going to work every day, right? And take that back. Maybe there's some that like going to work, but we all have those days where we're like, F this job. But there are little silver linings. It's not totally F this job. It's like F this one particular aspect of my job, but the rest is okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And it can depend on the setting too. Like if you're in an area that has like zero tolerance for mistakes, then yeah, I can understand being 100% serious all the time. And I've been in scenarios where everyone's expected to walk a very thin line between serious and joking. And sometimes you get so serious that you don't know how to turn it off. And you start spiraling, like everything in your life starts to become to that thin line of seriousness. And it affects everything else. Like you can't talk to people how you used to. You can't see things the way you used to because you're so tense and uptight. And
yeah, you lose what it is being a human, having a conversation.
Right.
When you walk into the room and you suck the life out of the room, that's a problem. To me, it's a problem. Maybe some others don't see that, my boss. But like if you walk in and you see people having a conversation or laughing or, hey, I got a question on this. What do you guys think? Oh, and we're talking it out. But the minute you walk in, it turns like crickets. Like to me, that would go, why didn't everybody stop talking? Why,
Yeah.
What's going on here?
Right. And I can kind of see that as well as being counterproductive to what you want from a leader, because you definitely want someone who can build a team from scratch, regardless if they like each other or they kind of sort of hate each other. But if they have skills that complement, that's going to get the task done, you want to be able to have them at least cohere enough to accomplish the task. And I think some of it comes with just having that interpersonal skill, like say having a sense of humor or being able to talk to anybody and everybody, or just be able to read the room. Like, this is the time to be serious, this is the time to laugh, or this is the time to make that lame dad joke, or whatever the case may be, because sometimes the room just needs it. And if you're just like 100% serious all the time, every time, 100% business, straight to paper or paper to action, yeah, a lot of stuff gets missed. And then you just turn into like this stoic, non-personal, non-approachable manager, I guess, right? Because we're not even saying leader no more. We're starting to say like just this manager. You're just managing assets at this point. And no one's going to be quick to tell you stuff because you're just that person who would, without a second thought, throw them under the bus. And when we start talking about like being promotions, especially like executive level, like managers and up, there's like unwritten rules as to how to get that. And what I mean is like, you got to be able to network a certain way. You have to be able to carry yourself a certain way. And what MVP was saying, like, you got to be able to have a sense of humor, but know how and when to turn it on and off. And like reading the room, for instance, like reading a room full of people, this is not the time to joke around. Or you're reading a room, this is not the time to be serious. And vice versa. Like, you go out to the floor, that's when you can do XYZ. It's all about being able to relate to both the subject matter and the people that are doing it. So they're not just wanting to slap their face against a rotating prop. You know what I mean?
Right.
And there's always that, like, it's going back about the unspoken rules. There's always like this it factor that every manager that or promoting official says that you either have or don't have. And it gets very hard to figure out when they don't provide you feedback. Like, what am I missing? It's like, well, you're just missing it. I'm like, well, what is it? Air quote, what is it?
Yeah, I mean, it can be certifications. It could be your ability to public speak, right? Maybe you got it all down, but you struggle in meetings presenting information. It could be your personnel skills or your personable skills.
Yes.
Right? You know, hey, we'd like to have you in a leadership position, but we can't have Oscar the Grouch meeting with the customers, you know?
Yes. And I love how you mentioned that with the interpersonal skill, and it could just be something that you're missing. Because a lot of times we're guilty of it too. Myself, I'm especially guilty of this. Is you have performance reviews that are A's across the board, like just check mark, everything that would just hit the wicket for that promotion announcement or that position that you're trying to get. But then in the midst of those reviews, you're saying like, oh, this person gets the job done. This person delivers on time, or he or she has the ability to make things happen. But but what the reviews don't say is like how you go about doing it. Like it doesn't fully capture the full essence, and sometimes it never will. Like, this person gets glowing reviews, or this person gets the job done because he or she is a slave driver, or this person just wants nothing to do with anybody except for what's immediately needing to happen. And as soon as it's done, they just don't care. And I've seen a whole bunch of leaders like that. Like, they're so task focused, or they're so project focused. They care nothing else outside of that gutter line or those bumpers, like in a bowling alley. They don't see anything outside those bumpers. It doesn't exist. And if you're not here to help me in this lane, then I want nothing to do with you. And that can be a good thing as far as getting the job done. But sometimes if you're too much of a standoff or too much of an island in that regard, you kind of come off as a bitch, or you kind of come off as an asshole. Like, I'm only working with you because I have to, but as soon as this is done, I could care less. Like, it's all you from then on. And I'm sure there's a whole bunch of people in way different scenarios that can absolutely relate to that example.
Right. Or you've done the things, right? They say, well, you need a little bit more work. So you've put forth the time, the effort to improve whatever skill set it is that you needed to improve. You've received positive feedback in your growth, and yet you're still passed over and you're going, what the heck? And what frustrates you the most is that, well, we decided to go with a fresh perspective from outside. Okay, I get that. You want to bring in some new ideas. And then that new leader lasts 6 months to a year, and then they're gone to a competitor for more money and whatever else. And you're going, well, that was time and money well spent, you know?
Yeah.
Been here the whole time, working on myself, trying to do it. Bringing this outsider, I end up having to teach them how to do their job, and then they end up leaving. Cool. So ultimately, you might find that, growth requires you to test the market,
Yes.
see what else is there. And that's sad, right? It's sad that a lot of corporations, and I don't know if they think you're bluffing, or if it's just they think you're just venting or talking trash or whatever the case may be. But oftentimes it's you almost have to threaten them, like, okay, well, I'm going to go over here. Whoa, wait a minute. What
Yes.
can we do? And you're like, well, and 9 times out of 10, you're so frustrated by the time you've got to that point that nothing they can counter with would keep you, because you go, no, I'm not gonna stay where I'm not valued, or you only value me when I choose to walk away.
Yes.
Um,
Absolutely. Yeah. And then vice versa, kind of sort of a counter to that is sometimes they want to bring fresh talent in. And this was the case with you and me in one of our previous jobs. They want to bring new talent in because the individuals that they have there right now, they're so used to just being in their box that they don't want to step out of their comfortability line. You know what I mean? Versus us or versus whoever the new talent from an external hire, they're open to new ideas. They have fresh perspectives. They're not used to how things operate. So in the midst of them learning things, they try to cut down on things that are unnecessary or a brand new way of looking at things, because that happens as well. Like sometimes you get an external hire and they're all about sharp elbows, like they're very rough, um, and they grill you and they hold you to a T on a timeline or an event or a regulation. Especially like say if you're a line supervisor coming in from a different airline group or whatever the case may be, you're not used to how people come in or how people work in that new environment, but you have like this new vision of how you want to run things, and so you kind of bring that new perspective in and kind of give them a fresh perspective of what's different to expect. But at the same time, you're also looking at what they have already and see where the gaps are so you can fill it with that fresh perspective. And I think that's one of the pluses of having an external hire, is because like you're not talking with somebody who's been so ingrained that they don't want to step outside of what's their comfortable boundaries, or this kind of goes into corruption a little bit, where like you want someone new to kind of wean out or uh keep the ones that are all about elevating a certain circle of friends from escalating any higher. That might be a little too rare of a case, but in the same token, like we've seen it happen where they just have someone else come in just to kind of keep this small circle of friends from elevating themselves and cutting everyone else's legs from under them.
right. What's so for all those listening, I'm reading a Harvard Business Review on the subject of why you didn't get promotions. Currently, as we're doing the episode, and we talked about why you didn't get it, building your skills, X, Y, Z, and the other, and then ultimately you build your skills, but you still got passed up. Well, I'm reading this article and it talks about these two individuals both going for general manager roles in a big firm. And even though the one individual built their skills, they were still passed up. when you really look down at the fine print of everything, they lost to the person, you know, they, the person who lost out was known for being, you know, was known, everybody wanted to go work for them. They wanted this. They were well liked. People knocking down their doors trying to get part of that team. But and the person who actually got it was known to be kind of a hard ass. You know, working for them was not for the faint of heart.
Right.
So when you look down at the fine print of everything, the nitty gritty, reading between the lines, so it turns out, you know, while individual B who got the promotion was known to be a hard ass, people actually grew and developed under them. She knew how, this person knew how to build a team and build an individual, so they become better than what they were. Whereas individual B, although it was liked well more, usually attracted B list team members.
Right. Yes.
So that's kind of interesting, because reading that kind of makes me reflect on myself a little bit. You know, I was priding myself, and still do, that I'm well liked, but am I not pushing enough or challenging enough? And is that why I answer to the people that I answer to that aren't well liked, but they push and push and push and push to expand your limits? I don't know. It's very interesting. That kind of hit me a little bit in the core as I was reading through while you were talking there just a minute ago.
Right.
So it's interesting. Just because you're well liked doesn't mean you're
effective,
a good leader or an effective leader. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And
some self-reflection there.
Almost definitely. And I can definitely relate to that, because there are times too where like you get too familiar with everybody, and then they just start being like your friend, not so much as your friend, but they get comfortable around you. Like they know like, oh, he's not going to make us stay late, this and that. But and I think that's one of those unwritten rules where you gotta, leading people means more than just being their boss. You have to like you said, test their boundaries, see what they're capable of doing, or sometimes just like dropping a workload on them, say, here, figure it out, and then kind of watch them struggle a bit. Like you're there for them if they absolutely need help, but at the same time you want them to kind of understand the struggle so they can adapt and figure out a style that's gonna help them figure things out the best way possible. And that's an ongoing thing. Like sometimes you feel like you're not doing enough, you're not challenging people enough, but at the same token, like there may not just be enough situations for you to let people go through that kind of a struggle. Like if your flight line or your throughput or your number of flights is not that many, then there's not that many opportunities for me to, okay, new person who's only been here for 2 years, run the desk for the next 2 weeks, because there's just not enough going through to have that person really understand the stresses of doing that. In the same token, right? Like I fully understand the other person. Were like, yeah, I'm a hard ass, but I challenge you.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up, because you know the hard ass. Okay, they attract type A individuals who want to push and who want to progress. But ultimately, going back to this article, individual B was also a product of their creation. While they had worked for people who were doing the pushing and all this and that, those same type A's are micromanaging and would never allow individual B to flex their leadership muscle, right? They were micromanaged too close. So that person thrived the best they could in that environment. Okay, I'm being micromanaged, so this is the best I can do. So because they're being micromanaged, everybody went, man, these leaders suck. I don't want to work for this. So he morphed himself into the, hey, at least I can be a beacon of hope and light.
Yes.
Under these other hard ass leadership, right?
Yes. And that's definitely like a delicate balance, like for anyone in a position of authority has to deal with. Like, do I be the authoritarian? Do I be the democratic leader? Do I be like a mixture of both? There's so many different leadership styles out there, and how to effectively manage it. And ultimately, at least how it was explained to me, is it boils down to the person's character. Like, how are you as a person, and how would you want to be treated? And how you carry yourself, that way it reflects in the people you're with. Because if you're a type A personality or you're the type of individual who strives for the best, who wants nothing but the best, it's going to infect everyone else around you to the point where like they want to feel and do the same thing. So like if you're like a type A personality who likes to micromanage the shit out of people, for new and budding individuals, that might be the only style of leadership that they know. And this kind of goes back to an episode way back where you get a choice of whether you want to be like that person because there is no other choice, or you want to be completely opposite from that person because you don't want to end up like that. And that's kind of where we get that beacon of hope individual, which we ourselves hope that we are. That yeah, we're kind of chill and we have an understanding, but we're not gonna just let you just slough off and get free money, you know?
Right. You know, you may not have been given appropriate feedback in order to develop yourself either.
Yes.
Article talks about managers may provide vague feedback to avoid losing a good employee. So because you're good at what you do, and it's unfortunate. I see it quite a bit where you know, a manager won't help promote their individual and help them grow into a new position, more money, more responsibility, whatever, because they don't want to lose them. So they give them, yeah, you could go over there, but really your skill set's more tailored to this, and that's happened to me. In a prior job that you and I were at, that's happened. Like, yeah, I mean, you could do that, but really your experience and skill set's tailored towards this. So they try to make you feel good about your existing position.
Yes.
But are unwilling to help you grow as an employee of that company.
Yes, absolutely. And that I liked how you mentioned about the feedback, because a lot of times your feedback comes in your reviews, where they be monthly, semi-annually, annually, quarterly, whichever the case may be. You will have like those reviews where it's very like it's just a feel good. You know they're talking shit, but it's kind of like a feel good. Like I don't want to talk smack about you to the point where you're just gonna flat out quit, because that's also could be illegal. But I also don't want to praise you because your performance just wasn't that good. And example is just like saying like so and so performs within the confines of their job description or something like that. It's just very uh vague and to the point. Like so and so operates in a manner where requires little to no supervision. And that doesn't sound bad, but for someone who's like in the run for a promotion, that can be a career breaker right there. Like so and so requires little to no supervision versus so and so is the eminently qualified individual whose knowledge and skill is constantly sought after by their peers and higher ups. Like,
yeah, without this individual, this Oconus location would break down via lack of control and following processes and procedures.
yeah,
You know, due to their diligence and whatever.
yeah.
Site runs type thing. I get what I'm going.
Yeah, and that's a big difference, right? Like so and so acts without little to no supervision. So and so is the keystone of this project, program, flight line, whatever. Like, oh, hire this person right off the bat.
Yeah, like if this person takes a day off, it is felt. You know, like
yes, and granted, okay, that this is now we're going a little bit off tangent to like how to write accurate performance reviews, but in reality, your performance reviews are getting used as ammunition for a promotion, either yes or no. And this same verbiage can also be used in your resume, which is going to yay or nay if you get hired or not, or if you're going to get hired with a certain salary expectation. Let's say that, because we've had that happen too. But it's definitely such a huge difference, and not having that detailed feedback either on paper or verbally in person or whatever the phone, whatever the case is nowadays. If you're not getting that, then you don't have any means to adjust. And for all you know, you're doing everything as you feel is interpreted as right, but it doesn't. You miss the mark every single time, and your only feedback is well, you missed. Like, okay, cool, but where? Where did my shot land? How far am I? Um, what can I do more to make this better or tighten this up? I don't know, just do something different. Like,
Right, and that kind of falls in what this article is saying as unwritten rules. They're saying unwritten rules are hard to nail down because they don't pertain to your technical ability, industry experience, or business knowledge. They relate to the soft skills that combine to give decision makers an intuitive sense of whether a candidate will succeed at the senior level. And as predictable career paths become more or less extinct, the confusion for people seeking advancement just gets worse.
yeah,
That's kind of
yeah,
crazy.
and that's some shit. So, and I think a lot of it too is when you have a boss or a hiring individual or promoting official that does not give you like a pretty deep, not a detailed plan, but at least a plan of how to get better or how to meet their expectations, then it's kind of set in stone. Like this person just doesn't either a know how to promote or doesn't want you to, right? And I've seen that happen as well, where they're already set in their mind that this person is not the person that they want to be hanging out in their club, so they'll say whatever, however, just to keep you motivated enough to do your job, but not so motivated that you want to step out of your boundaries, either explore new options or to challenge them in front of everybody else because their method of leadership is not making the cut, so to say.
Sure. Yeah. There's, I don't know how I want to say this. It's, I'm guilty of it myself. I've had members of my team come to me and say, "Hey, I'm contemplating moving on." Oh, snap. Okay. Well, first, can I ask, you know, what made you decide to start looking elsewhere? Well, some say, "Hey, look, I just want to grow," or "I'm kind of tired of this. I want to try something new." Some say they're real. "Hey, I don't like um, leadership above you. I don't like the hours we work. They're too sporadic. Whatever else. Okay,
Yeah.
was there anything I can do? What can I do? Can I change your shifts? Can I give you more? Am I not giving you enough responsibility here? Do you want more responsibility? Am I not challenging you enough? And if ultimately at the end of the conversation, if they're like, because some I've been able to retain and kind of make them more happy in the positions that they were in. Not that they were unhappy, but give them a kind of sense of purpose maybe again. But
Yes.
others I've lost. And as soon as they say, "No, I think I'm trying to move on," my next response is, "Great. How can I help you?
Yes.
You need a letter of rec? Who's the hiring manager? Can I reach out to them on your behalf? Would you like me to do that?
Yes.
I'll do whatever I can to help you get in your position." And I've written, well, astounding letters of recs, really just highlighting individuals.
Yes.
Basically like, "Look, I hate to lose this person, but you'd be a fool not to hire them."
Yes. And that's part of the leading, and that's part of the one of the unwritten skills is leading people. Like sometimes you just got to know that what you have available to offer this person isn't enough to meet their new growing demands, right? Not, and sometimes it's money, sometimes it's not, but other times it's like this person just not he or she needs more responsibility, be it new challenges, be it a new setting, whatever the case may be. And that's part of the leading people. And that also goes into like building a coalition where like you've networked enough where they know if you stamp your name on it, then this is grade A. You should act on this. And we kind of mentioned this on previous episodes where like um, our signature means like this is good to go. Like we've checked all the boxes. We did everything to the manuals. We ensure that the maintenance was done correctly or the plane was geared up, ready to do its thing correctly. So you don't even need to screen this as hard. So likewise, with your developing people and sending them off to greener pastures, if you say like this person is grade A, good to go, you are a fool for not hiring this person. Oh, this is coming from MVP and six, solid. I know these people know how to grow people. If that makes any sort of sense.
Yeah, like you know that. Hey, where did they come from? Oh, they came from XYZ department on that program. Oh wow, dude, hire now.
Yep.
Like, if you don't believe me, talk to their boss.
Yes. Now, shifting gears a bit. Now, let's say like you got offered a promotion, right? Like your hard work paid off, and you're getting offered a position of higher responsibility, whether it be maintenance control, being a shift lead, a shop lead, a division lead, or say some of the higher executives, like you are going to be this. I'm like, oh snap!
Before we jump into that real quick, there's still some more stuff I'd like to touch on
Oh, for sure.
with the as to why you didn't get it.
Yep, for sure.
So there's these, we were just talking about these unwritten rules. And they're saying there's 3 categories to these unwritten rules. Non-negotiables, which are the fundamental factors without which an executive will not be considered for promotion. Ooh. Perhaps it's hey, to be the maintenance lead, you have to have an A&P. No ifs, ands, or buts. You got to be able to relate to these people, to your people at that level. Like, you should at least know what training and stuff it takes to get to where they're at if you're going to lead those individuals.
Right.
But perhaps it's well, you're applying for the CFO of an organization, chief financial officer, and you have 0 accounting experience. Like, hey, I was a professional bow tire as a seasonal help at a Christmas, Christmas packaging place. Like, what? Okay, well, how does that make me run a company worth a Fortune 500 company, right? How does that help me there? I need somebody who knows accounting.
Yep.
It's those kind of things, hey, you're going to be working a Gulfstream G650. Well, all you have is a Cessna 182 experience. Well, yeah, some of that translates, but like if you're applying to be the chief mechanic, you should probably have some hands-on and some time in on a G650 airframe,
or something similar, right? Like,
or at least a jet of similar size and operation,
right?
Or a Gulfstream in general, just a Gulfstream platform in general.
Yeah.
So those are like non-negotiables. The next category, deselection factors. These are the characteristics that eliminate an otherwise qualified candidate from consideration. So, being the director of maintenance requires 15 years maintenance experience on whatever platforms, must hold whatever certifications. Okay, well, I've only got 8 years experience and 3 out of the 5 certifications. Okay, sorry. Or you're applying to be a age mechanic, your ground support equipment, and your resume says nowhere in it the word mechanic or maintenance or whatever. Like, okay, nope.
Mm-hmm.
So those are deselection factors. The last one is core selection factors. These are what ultimately dictate promotion decisions. They exhibit key factors in executive career advancement. And your factors will differ from company to company, but so your key factors, right? Mm-hmm. Those are you have a airframe and power plant. You also carry an EASA license. Okay, well, and then you have a bachelor's in aviation maintenance, and you got 15 years experience, and you got all this and that, and you say, okay, well, how? Okay, well, tell me in there what's a key factor for advancement. Okay, well, let's say we're based out of Indianapolis. Well, why should he get promoted? I've got the same time. Yeah, but that individual carries the EASA license, and we want to expand our businesses abroad. We want to attract European customers, or we want to attract you know, maybe you get the Canadian license or wherever. But let's just say, and you can say, why we're promoting them because they understand what it took to get that license to operate there. They know the rules and regs. They can help us as the corporation develop a business growth plan to attract foreign customers to expand the business.
Yes, yes, and
That kind of stuff.
and we're just not to say everything has to be strictly paper, right? Like, oh, I have such and such cert. I went to such and such school. I went to such and such uh, training or whatever the case may be. Because then you start turning into just like, well, you have all this time to do training. Well, what if this is actual hands-on work? Like, what did you actually do? Right? Because we've had that too, where we have individuals like their resumes are stacked with certifications, licenses, experiences, and all this and that. It just looks fantastic. But then you look at it and it says, wow, you spent a lot of time in training, or you did all this while being just an average mechanic or an average whatever. Something ain't mathing right. But that this kind of goes into resume writing again, because you want to at least explain, like, this was the situation, this is the task you had to do, this is what you directly influence, and then here was the result. Like, if you can explain it in that fashion, it doesn't matter what your certifications are, barring the bare minimums that the job requires. Freaking solid, sold. As long as you meet the key requirements to, or the non-negotiables, anything else outside of that is just more reasons to select you or not. So example is like the relevance, right? Like, I have experience in aircraft maintenance, cool, but have you ever touched this airframe once, if at ever? No. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, you could say, okay, you're applying to my director of maintenance position. Okay, fine. You have, 2 years experience though. Well, yeah, but I have a doctorate from Embry-Riddle. Sure.
Yeah.
Or no, let's put it this way. You're applying to an AOG, right? You're applying to somebody who's going to be working out of a road truck, working on the line in the middle of the night, in the middle of nowhere. Okay, well, you got 2 years experience. Yeah, yeah. But I have a doctorate. Yeah, but how does your doctorate benefit what I need for that fast team, for that road crew? Well, I'm qualified. Yeah, on paper. On paper. But I need experience now. I need somebody who's turnkey. I need somebody who knows 5 different platforms at least.
Yep.
That I can send out tonight and know that they're going to do a good job. Whereas and they're going to, and we can pay them a reasonably good wage, where you're going to be asking for way too much because you have student loans to pay off. Look, I get it. You got to start somewhere. But also understand that just because you have all these things doesn't mean the position you're applying for is right. Like, McDonald's isn't going to hire a neurosurgeon to work the counter. Why?
Yeah. And
yes, could they do the job? Sure. But why is McDonald's going to pay $150,000 a year for a neurosurgeon to work behind the counter? It's just kind of, also know what you're applying for, know what your limitations are too, and to what you're applying to. Yes. Yeah, shoot for the moon. I'll tell everybody that. Shoot for the moon. Go for gold. What's the worst you're going to hear? No. Heard it a whole bunch in my time. You're going to hear it a whole bunch more.
Yep. And I think that's a good segue into the next topic. It's like, yeah, shoot for the moon, but you also got to know, like, once you're up there, you got to start working. Don't be wishing to go into space and you're not prepared to be an astronaut.
Well, yeah, because the rubber is going to hit the road, and either you're going to burn out or you're going to end up at 300 miles an hour down the track.
That kind of reminds me of Armageddon, the movie Armageddon, where they take a bunch of hole drillers, like oil well hole drillers, and they put them up to be astronauts. And these guys have no freaking clue what the hell is going on. So it's pretty comedic, like watching them struggle to do the basics of astronaut work and kind of sort of aviation work. But at the same time, like, this is what we got. Here's your 3 days of training. Let's move on. And it sounds great, but the rubber's got to hit the road, like what MVP said, and you're gonna start having to start coming up with some deliverables that you may or may not be ready to do or to put some effort to, and that kind of goes into like why you would not want a promotion, and this can range from a number of factors because, I mean, that sounds kind of counterintuitive, right? Like, why would I not want more money? But here's the kicker, because sometimes, there's a reason why you get more money is because this is what we're going to afford you on top of all the things that we're going to take from you.
Yeah, more money, more gray hair. I'm a prime example of that. I am not that old, and most people think I'm early 50s. Most people think I'm about 20 to 25 years older than what I really am. And that is from stress. So what are you willing to give up? Yeah, you get more money, but you're also, the stress level is increased. You are expected to perform. And if your team falls short, it falls on you.
Yes.
Not on your team. You can handle your in-house team however you choose. But from the upper echelons of corporate, it falls on you.
Yes.
And then, you're expected to be on call. You have all these additional duties. Your day doesn't always end at 5 o'clock.
Yep. Yep. And especially if you're something like a lead or higher, like it's almost a given for you to show up an hour early or 1 to 2 hours early and then stay 1 to 2 hours late, or like you said, like on call. Like your day, just because you're not at work doesn't mean your day has ended. And those are one of the things that I personally kind of hated, because I kind of like to, like, once I leave work, I don't want to have that osmosis into my family's life. But
that is constant effort, right? Anybody who's ever been in a leadership role knows how difficult it is to turn it off when you get home. Like,
Yep.
Your spouse will listen to you for so long, but eventually they're going to go, fuck you, my day sucked too.
Yes.
And that's the reality of it. Has my spouse told me that? Yeah, you betcha. Yeah, you betcha she's told me, I don't fucking care. My day sucked too. Quit being a baby, get over yourself. Either quit and find a new job or figure out a way to get through it. Ooh. All right. Sorry, damn, I was just trying to find someone to vent to. Thought would listen. Well, it's not me anymore. Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yes. And
so that's kind of that's something that's very hard to do. So there's trade-offs with everything, right? And sometimes not getting that promotion ends up being a blessing in disguise, right? I've had people who went up for the same job I got, and they came to me 6 months later and went, thank God. I mean, hey, they're like, hey, I don't mean this to anything negative, but I'm glad I didn't get your spot, because I see what you've been going through the past 6 months, and that seems terrible. And you're like, it kind of has been terrible. You know what I mean?
Yes. Or I've seen the opposite end, where you've dodged the bullet. Like it sounded really good, but it just wasn't something that was in the cards for you. Like you weren't able to do the move, or you weren't able to work the hours. Something along the lines like I can't do that right now, but if you present it to me in the future, I will take it. And then you see the person that did get selected, and you just see like just hell getting rang out of them, right? Like their livelihood is just being wrung out like a wet rag. I'm like, oh damn.
6 hears it from me via text or conversation daily, weekly.
I'm like, oh man, that's rough. And,
yeah, gross.
Gross. and we've been in positions before, both as regular technicians and as up and coming management. Like, it's always easy to talk shit about the person that's in the hot seat, right? It's always easy to talk shit until you're the one in the seat. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, oh shit, I never thought I'd actually be in the chair. So fuck. It's what's that one TV show with Regis Philbin, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, right? When you're watching it on your TV, you're screaming out, the right answer is this, the right answer is this. You're so fucking dumb. Like, well, the right answer is this. How do you not know that? But then when you get put in the seat, some of the simplest questions, like, it just blows your brain. Like, it can't connect because you're so tense and you're so fired up to find the right answer. Like, How many colors of the rainbow are there? Ah, fuck. 12.
Yeah, and you're like, then they're going Roy G. Bird. Fuck, what was that? What was that acronym?
Right? I and it's real easy. And then sometimes like the promotion itself or the demands of the job is just too much for you to handle. Right? Like it sounded all great in your head. It's like, yeah, I can do this. Or you get that common phrase that people say is like, just accept it and then figure it out as you're doing it. Like, sure, that works for like.
Yeah, I think Richard Branson had a quote about that. If somebody offers you a job, just take it and figure it out along the way. Like I guess some success can be had that way, but it'd be like me. Hey, we're at 30,000 feet in an airliner. Hey, MVP, how'd you like to be a pilot? Man, I've always kind of wanted to be a pilot. Great, today's the day. They put your little cap on you, pin the wings on your chest, sit you in the seat, and say, "Good luck landing." And you're like, "What? No, wait a minute.
Hold on,
there should be something else in here." Well, no, just figure it out along the way. You know.
And that kind of reminds me of like a bunch of jokes. I think a lot of pilots or private pilots do this. I think it's like a rite of passage or some shit. Whenever they get their license, they like whenever they step into an airlines, they kind of like just look at the actual crew in the flight deck and say like, "Hey, just letting you know, I'm in the back if you need me." You know, just trying to flex that they got a license. I'm like, cool, thanks. I'm pretty sure we got it. On top of the two of us being here and the freaking robot that's programmed into the plane, I think we got it. If we need you, then all the redundancies in the world have failed and you're no longer flying a plane. You're like basically trying to coast a missile into the ground safe as possible. but yeah,
that's about kind of what it is. One thing you can do though is you're trying to improve yourself, right? So you get passed up and you're okay. What can I do? Well, active or attentive listening, right, and know how to ask questions.
Yes.
So let's say I work for Six. Six says, "Hey, we're gonna go with so and so over here. They got more of the corporate business savvy that's needed in this position to bridge this gap between the hangar and the offices." Okay, cool, understood. But Six, what can I do? What can I do to improve myself? So in the next, as we grow and the next position comes available, that I can be more prepared to step in this role. Well, just, work on your skills. Well, no, what specific skills do I need? Is it communicating? Is it my ethics and integrity? Is it my writing skills? Is it my forms? Is it my knowledge base? Like what specifically do I need to work on? And most people, don't want to give negative feedback. I understand. I don't like doing it either. I abhor doing it. So I can go, "Hey, Six, what can I work on?" "Hey, man, just you're doing good ultimately, but just this." No. I got like what could I have done to make me a contender for that spot, like a real contender? Well, look, MVP. Somebody going into that role really needs to have an understanding of at least a rudimentary understanding of financials. Oh, okay. Copy. How can I do that? Okay, can I get involved in your meetings? When you're filling out these, can you explain to me what you're filling out and where these numbers are pulled from, right? It shows that you're trying to improve yourself, but it forces them to actually give you like a solid answer, not just you're doing good, man. Just keep working at it.
Right.
Work at what? What am I working towards?
Or here's the regulations, figure it out. I'm like, cool, I guess.
Yeah,
like,
here's
the pretty thick book.
Here's the FARs. Here's the FARs. Just read through the whole book and you should be fine.
Like all of it?
Oh, all of it? Like I don't think everything in there pertains to maintenance. I mean, I'll read through the 4313 again. Maybe the part 121 and the part 91.
Yeah,
But
that's
I
a
don't
good
know if I
start.
need to know anything about. Uh, uh, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I need to know anything about supplier quality and parts manufacturing because I'm not doing that job. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, just do that. Like, that's a lot. That's a lot.
Well, if I have to learn everything, I guess the next position I'll be applying for will be the CEO spot.
Yeah, right.
Let's go ahead and make that leap now.
And it also helps, right, if you get like that gradual transition, right, and that kind of comes into the effective leadership of it all too, right? Like, hey, you're the new kid on the line. I'm gonna start teaching you like third year mechanic stuff or fourth year mechanic stuff, like something like a little bit, just a tad bit more advanced than what you're used to, and just like slowly build you up that way. Or like in our case, right? Like, here's this form, figure it out, learn it, and then if you have any questions, just give me a ring. And then, oh, good, you get your proficient at this. Now do this one, like, or now do this one, right? And then just slowly osmosis them into the whole inner workings of how things work. Now, ideally, that's what you want, but sometimes like positions become vacant and they need it filled right away. And it's like, okay, which one of you is the most capable of learning things fast? All right, you, let's go. uh like, which one of you is most likely to not crash this plane? Like, you look like you read clear and good. Let's go.
Yeah, I
Okay.
need you to do an engine change. We have a revenue flight in 15 hours, so really need you to hit a home run for me. Well, is the old engine off or is it at least decaled? Oh, no, it just pulled into chocks. And you want the engine changed and done and ready for a revenue flight in 15 hours? Yeah, hit a home run for us. But, okay, now, I don't have any engine experience, right? Well, just follow the manual. You should be fine. Yeah, well, yes, but in 15 hours? you know?
Right,
Like
or
it's
something
almost unfair sometimes when some of the stuff that the reasons you're not given the position. Now, sometimes you just never had a chance.
yeah.
And they'll use stuff like that, unfair situations like, well, we need you to hit a home run here and we end up missing that revenue flight and unfortunately that's why we couldn't promote you. Okay, well, if you judge a fish on its ability to climb a tree, what
Yeah,
are we doing?
right. Like, you can't ask a frog to dance,
Yeah.
or something. I'm trying to go with it, like, okay, like
And if
fish
you
climbing
can,
a
why are you working here?
yeah. for And that kind of says a lot. I'm kind of backtracking when we had the women from the Elevate team or anyone from the AMC competition. Like, here's a task. You got 15 minutes. Here's the manual. Figure it out. Go. And then some of those individuals, like, they were able to do a task which they've never done in their life in way less of a time than they expected to. But that kind of goes into like testing your abilities, like where you're having the fundamental skills and then you kind of sort of figure it out. That's different from, I've never done this before. I have no idea what it entails. I don't have the core abilities yet to fully understand the scale, but yet you want me to do it in a way less of a time that's on a normal day. I'm like, I mean, expect mistakes. That's all I'm gonna say. Expect mistakes.
Well, yeah, or vice versa, right? You put on your resume, uh, skilled Pratt and Whitney engine specialist. Oh, fantastic! Hey, we need you to go change out 3 AGB seals and blend out some nicks in your N1 blades, and also replace 2 EGTs. Can you do that for us? Sure. And 2 days later, you're not done, and everybody's going, "Weren't you like a seasoned Pratt and Whitney mechanic with whatever certifications? Like, what's going on?" So, also, fake it till you make it
Yeah.
doesn't always work too, or it'll expose you really quick. And now, if you're that person and you get passed up. I can't believe I got passed up. Well, we have
Well,
some integrity things I think we need to discuss.
yeah. The fake it till you make it thing, I could understand it like as a mindset thing, but like as a no kidding, like I have no fucking clue what this is, but I'm gonna try to figure it out anyway. I'm like, that might not be in your best interest, right? And then I say that in the sense like, because if it's a mindset thing, like fake it till you make it, like have the mindset of a CEO and have the mannerisms of a director of maintenance and manifest it for yourself, right? And that makes sense. You're faking it until you make it, but flat out like saying like I know how to do this, I am an expert at this, and then you get put to the test and you have no fucking clue what you're doing, like yeah, that's not gonna work out for us, friend. I
Yeah,
think
or it's one
we
of the or the dress for the job you want, not the job you have. Well, I think some of our viewers would find it very unsettling of me to show up on the line in my slippers and silk pajamas because I want to be a stay-at-home trophy husband. Uh, but I need to go out there and do, post-flight inspections. There might be some issues.
right. I mean, I'm still kind of up for that though. I mean, by all means, feel free to just shower me with your riches. Just take care of me, damn it.
just because I'm looking for a sugar daddy doesn't mean I shouldn't get this position.
Amen to that. And so we talked quite a bit, and we went off a bunch of tangents, right? But it boils down to like what MVP said earlier. You have to have that solid feedback or that active listening. You got to have that interpersonal skill to know where your gaps are. And if you don't know what it is, or you can't find like feedback from your direct supervisor of what you're missing at, you can kind of see it like on the results. Like start canvassing around. Like, hey, like what are some gaps? Maybe not directly blame it on yourself, but say like, hey, what are some gaps that we can improve on, make things better? And then that can start being your driver to innovate things or to figure out ways to make things better, whatever the case may be. And sometimes, like just taking lead on a project that no one had any sight on could just be the key to getting you that spot that you've been looking for, or give you some insight. Like, yeah, I thought it was cool, but after seeing like just the little nuances that worked its way up there, probably not something I want anymore. Because we've had that happen too. Like, it sounds all cool until you start climbing that ladder and like, yeah, this ain't it. Like, I don't know what I was thinking, but this ain't it.
Yeah, I don't know what I was searching for, but I haven't found it. Not doing the route that I thought I was supposed to.
Yes, and that's what led us to turn down some positions ourselves, because it sounded great on paper, or it sounded great for the people who are currently in it. But then as you're working your way towards it, or as you start taking on tasks that run similar to what that is, it starts becoming very apparent. Like, you know what? Maybe this isn't what I was looking for. Like, it sounded cool. Example is like freaking being like a fighter pilot, right? It sounds fantastic. Everybody wants to be Maverick and Goose and all that stuff, until you figure out like all the trainings you got to go to just to get there. Like, yeah, this ain't it.
Yeah,
Like,
everybody wants to be a MARSOC, or they want to be a SEAL or a Green Beret until they realize that people shoot back. Like,
yeah, right. There's a reason why they're the 1% for like 99% washout rate. Holy shit, right? So it says a lot. Sometimes like the spot that you're looking for isn't what you're really looking for, and that'd be a good reason why to turn it down. There's other factors, of course, like things you don't want to sacrifice, or things that you don't want to pay too much of to get a little. And sometimes, like as MVP said earlier, like you missing that promotion is actually a blessing in disguise, because something better has opened up uh, around the same time, if not in the near late future after the fact. Like, I wanted real bad to be like this director of maintenance for this site. It didn't work out, but oh hey, they got another site over here. It's brand new, or it has more along the things that I'm more familiar with. So maybe I'm gonna go over there and see if I can succeed there, and it end up working out for you. or line supervisor, technician lead, crew chief, whatever the case may be. Sometimes it's not what you think it is at first, and that could be just a maturity thing. But other times it might call for you to do things that you're just not prepared or ready to do at the time, or the time of the position.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah, man, that was heavy. That was pretty heavy. I haven't actually did like a full life reflection here for a second, because there were times where you and we've talked about this too. Like there was a position we totally wanted it, or we sounded like we wanted it. We applied for it. We got up in the interviews, and then as they're interviewing, like, yeah, this doesn't sound like it. Like the questions alone, just
pull my application out of this.
Yeah, right. Or it wouldn't break your heart that they didn't select you. It's one of those where you're kind of hoping that they don't. So at least you don't have to turn them down.
Yeah, you start reading through it and you're like, you know what? This isn't what I thought it was. Because somebody might tell you, oh, I think you should apply for this. It'd be a great opportunity, blah, blah, blah. Okay, yeah, you get all excited and whatever else. Then you go, then you really sit down and read the description of it and the duties and the responsibilities and the whatever about it. And you go, okay, wow, that's a lot. Like, okay, I'm doing like 3 different people's jobs here. What's the pay band? Jesus Christ, that's like less than what I make in overtime now. Why the hell would I sign up for that? You know what I mean?
Yep. Or vice versa. Like, you get a high monetary amount, but your benefits and all the other stuff that you greatly depend on is not there no more. So like what you expect the pay band to be is actually a lot smaller. I'm like, after you apply all the changes, I'm like, why am I doing this again?
Yep. So I guess my conclusion would be you didn't get the promotion. While it is disheartening, don't get discouraged. Use it as a learning experience. Use the interview as a what to expect when interviewing with those upper positions. Develop new sets of questions for yourself. Learn how you can grow as a person, and keep trying.
Yes. And then always keep with that progressive growth, right? Like as MVP said, like sometimes, you just haven't had enough exposure of something. So volunteer for it. One of our listeners, actually one of Stick's great friends, was mentioning like every time they will get put on a job, it can be a dirty job or a very in-depth, like this will take a while job, and they just volunteer. Like, hey, you're going to go do this. Psh, let's do it. Or, hey, we need you to stay late to make sure this gets done correctly. Psh, let's do it. Right. Just so you can get that exposure. It's not like you're trying to screw yourself over, but you're doing that exposure because it actually helps you in the long run. And where other people say they don't want to do it because they just don't want to put in that extra effort, or they just don't have the energy for it, that all that extra time that will actually work out for you when you do step up for those newer positions or higher positions. And if any of you ever have any questions about resumes, about how to put all those experiences and personal and professional growth onto paper, please by all means let us know. Like we've read through many resume, and it's starting to become a talent where we can pick through the bullshit. Like
yeah, you can really see when somebody you're like, no.
Yeah. Or like the announcement says this, but then they droll on about all this extra stuff. Like, this is cool, but it's not relevant. By all means, like if you have something like that, or you just want like a second look, by all means, hit us up. Let us know either on our emails, our social medias, or even better on our Discord from Patreon. That will give you full access to us, and we can help you out with whatever topic that you need assistance on. If we have some ability to help you directly, we'll totally will. And if we don't, we'll find some means to get you to someone who can. Yeah,
exactly.
And also, we also have a comic series out on Tapas, on the Tapas app. It documents a lot of the stuff that we experience on the line as mechanics, and then as we've progressed in our managerial life. And then also other experiences from our listeners who have shared their stories with us. Like it's a little bit exaggerated, granted, because it's a comic, but that's part of the storytelling flair. But
Mm-hmm.
it's something that actually has happened, and it's probably continually happening right now. And by all means, check those out. Give us some feedback, subscribe to us, and let us know what you guys think. And then if you join us on Discord through Patreon for like as little as $1, we can actually talk about some topics of what you would like to see as a story, or what kind of story that you would like to have as a learning point for the next generation. On that note, we appreciate all of you for listening, and we will catch you all again on the next time.
Bye, everybody.
We would like to take this time to thank our patrons for supporting our show and allowing us to make episodes, maintain our gear, and create merch for all of our listeners, with special thanks to Erica Lamont, Chris Hawkins, Dan Schubert, Ryan Frushauer, Kyle Keir, Caleb Stockhill, Jenny Dignan, and Jennifer Brofer. Thank you all so much for your support and patronage. If you like our show, please support us on Patreon. You'll receive awesome perks such as access to our private Discord, discounts on and early access to merch, first glimpse of our comics and other projects, and so much more. Visit our shop at cancelformaintenance.com and grab some swag to show off both your support for us and your prowess as an aircraft technician. If you have suggestions for the show or have a guest recommendation to be on the show, send us a line on our contact us section at our website, and we will do what we can to get your ideas and or your recommendations on the show. You can also follow us on social media, such as on Facebook at Cancel for Maintenance, Instagram at Canx, that's C-A-N-X, for Maintenance Podcast, Twitter at CXMX Podcast, and now you can catch us on Tapas, where you can view our latest comics. Check out our affiliate, rockwelltime.com, for watches and eyewear that support both your sporty and classy lifestyles. Use the code CX4MX, that's the number 4MX, to save 10% off your total purchase. Thank you all again for your listenership and support, and we will see you all next time.